Dr. Shahryar Afzal. I'm Senior Lecturer in the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology, Faculty of Pharmacy, Massa University. So on behalf of the Faculty of Pharmacy, I cordially welcome to all my respected viewers and listeners for our online session regarding the research and for the postgraduate studies. So today our panel discussion members would be Dr. Ali. So he is currently acting as the lecturer in the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology. So let me introduce with his explanatory background. Dr. Ali earned his PhD in pharmacy from the National University of Malaysia, and he is also a molecular biology scientist with a very strong background in the immunopharmacology and drug discovery. Beside that, Dr. Ali has a defined history of the high-impact publications and a proven track record of securing the grants from the Ministry of the Higher Education Malaysia, but not limited, right? And the University Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM. Dr. Ali has a keen interest in elucidating the molecular mechanisms governing the inflammation and the crosstalk of signal transduction, pathways of the inflammation-induced disorders, and autoimmune disease and oncogenesis. With all this one, may I now welcome to Dr. Ali as our respected guest today. Dr. Ali, very welcome to you. So hopefully you have been have prepared. We will have a very good discussion, and our viewers will be very much pleased to listen and to have the very good suggestions regarding the today's topic, that is the postgraduate studies, AS your research and thesis defense.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the brilliant introduction. And yes, I hope that the listeners will get some good insights from two faculty members. And not to forget, Dr. Shahryar Afzal is also is an excellent scientist with the H index above 10. So we will keep this session more of a discussion rather than a monologue. So, sir, ask what you want to ask.
Thank you very much, Ali. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. So let's start with the very first important question, because we in this today's dialogue session we will have the two aspects of our sitting together right now. So first of all, we will go for the postgraduate studies, and the next session will be for the thesis defense, right? So, Dr. Ali, may I ask you for the criteria for the selection of the good supervisor? Please explain to our viewers and listeners.
So, most of the renowned universities, when I say renowned, the ones who are research-focused universities, the ones who are prospective postgraduate students and who are they are definitely want to know how to select a supervisor. Then when I was trying to enroll in a PhD, I still remember my master's supervisor said that if you want to have a smooth journey, then you don't select a university, you select a supervisor, right? And I believe you will agree me with that particularly. And all the renowned universities, if we talk about the Malaysian university like UKM and UPM, USM, all of that universities have the potential supervisor research interest and publication on their website. All right. So the most important thing is to go to the university's website, look into the profile of each and every prospective supervisor, and most important thing over here, to look at their publications. Because looking at the publications and the area where they have published and the journals that they have selected, you will have an idea that what kind of interest the supervisor is having and what kind of work that is being conducted out from last 10 years. Now, over here, there are two things which are important. Of course, now we are pharmacologists, so there are a lot of areas that you can explore. If you are good at animal handling, you can go into the in vivo side. If you are good at the cell culture, you can go into the in vitro. But the most important thing over here is that what is your personal interest, right? What you are good at, what is your future plans, and based on that, you have to look into the profile, the research interest, the publications, and by that, the most important thing is you need to communicate with your supervisor first, right?
Yeah.
Potential one. And it's not like that you contacted someone, and you got the response. If you're lucky, you will get the response on the first email, which is not so ideal. And you if the person replies back to you, you'd say that he's my or she's my potential supervisor. Look for the other options as well, right? And the most important thing, like you said, the potential supervisor, a potential supervisor should have a grant to support your research.
That's important. Yeah, very well. Yeah.
So
Thank you very much.
I personally believe that these are the things that you should look at, and these are the things which make which any faculty member your potential supervisor. And I believe, Dr. Sharia, you will have the same opinion about this question as well, right, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's correct. That's correct, Dr. Ali, because since these potential supervisor is very much important for the student, because it is going to have the very close interaction and a very important and long journey, which is going to shape the future of the researcher and the postgraduate student. So thank you very much for the very well answering. I hope our viewers would have the very good answer, because the significance of the app and the aptitude of the supervisor, it also affects and have very important impact on the research ethics and research selection criteria for the postgraduate student.
One more thing,
So
sir, I want to add over here that while
yeah,
you're selecting the supervisor, you should know your own abilities as well.
yeah, yeah.
Means, for example, if we are talking about the kind of a person, if there's a kind of a person who needs micromanagement, then you should look to a supervisor who is good at micromanagement, telling you each and every step, because few supervisors love to do that, while the others are more result oriented, like I had in
Mhm,
my PhD, right? And
mhm,
they are result oriented. They are only will call you when you have some results. While
mhm,
in between, if you have any problem, of course you can go to them, approach them. But the thing is that if you're a kind of a person who needs continuous supervision, then you should look
mhm.
that trait into your supervisor as well.
That's correct. Yeah, exactly. I truly agree with this one.
Hmm.
Okay, Dr. Ali, may I ask you the second very important question from the
Sure.
postgraduate student point of view?
Sure.
How a PG student should choose the topic for his research? So,
Oh.
should it be based on his or her own research aptitude on the previous background, or it should be liaised or aligned with the current global research perspectives?
This is a very good question, sir. Sir, of course, if you would have asked this question to me 2 years ago, my would answer have been yes. You should follow the same track that your supervisor is actually following, and the same track is important because your supervisor already knows the do's and don'ts of that pathway, right? And they already know that the instruments and the grant which is able to cover the research area. But since the COVID is now here, so my answer is will be a bit different. The COVID has changed the perspective of a lot of things, even the research as well, right? So the pandemic has actually forced us to relook and revisit our priorities in the research as well. Means, for example, recently I have worked with the field scientist. Dr. Mansoor Ali Khan, on particularly in the cytokine storm. So I was not cytokine storm. So let me to my viewers as well. Cytokine storm is a condition in which your body starts producing inflammatory cytokines, and that actually leads to the cellular damage, organ damage, and then the one of the main cause of the advanced COVID-19 disease is the cytokine storm.
Mhm,
So
yeah,
my
exactly.
previously my work was on inflammation, but I was not aware of this term until and unless the COVID came. And all of a sudden I realized that this is something related to my research work and I should adopt this thing. I should adapt and I should work on this thing. So
Yeah.
most important, so your question, both of things are important. What kind of research? Number one, the research should be, of course, most relevant to the current problems, and right now the COVID is the one, right? COVID related, all the research as the most relevant one, because we are still not able to find out the all the answers for the COVID-19. Correct me if I'm wrong, right, sir?
Yeah.
We are still
Yeah.
trying to find out. And
Exactly.
and of course, if the COVID is not the area where you can research, then you should follow, you should negotiate with your supervisor. For example, if your supervisor has a different interest while you have a different interest, you can sit on the table, you can put all the cards on the table, and you can negotiate your supervisor that, okay, I will do half of this what you want, but I want to include this part which is my expertise and my interest as a part of the ongoing your research. And you have to justify that whatever you are going to do, that is going to make a positive and significant contribution to his or her work. And I believe if you are pitching something new, novel, then there will be no person who will deny that a novel work cannot be carried out on, and a different pathway cannot be taken as a research path.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I think I should truly appreciate your this answer based on your own personal aptitude and taking an example of the cytokine storm. Okay, because I have recently gone through from your recent very good publications in which you have explained, truly explained about the cytokine storm and
Mm.
its relevance with the current COVID-19 situation. So I
Yes.
hope our viewers have the very good answer. That is very much important that both the researcher and the supervisor should have the compatibility, because if any of them they don't have the research aptitude or there is no compatibility, I think the journey will not be the quite good enough, right?
And
So
sir, because masters is minimum of 2 years, PhD is minimum of 3 years, and it is a very long journey. And I must say, it's a long and tiring and a lone journey that you have to carry it out.
yeah,
So and most, because like me and you, we come from the families who do not have much of the research expertise. So we rely on our supervisor a lot. So your supervisor is your ally for all those 3 to 4 to 5 years. And if your ally is not on your side, then I believe that journey is going to be very difficult.
very hard, very difficult. Exactly. The both should be on the same parallel lines, should be compatible with each other, because both of them, I think, would have to work hand in hand
Yes.
among each other. So, Dr. Ali, my next question:
Sir.
can you please tell us about the significance of the networking? Because we believe we understand already the importance of this networking at the undergraduate level. So, how the networking should help our postgraduate students globally, internationally, in making the networking with the other institutions or across the globe with the based on the research
Yes, I understand. It's
interest.
a very good question. A lot of people ask me this question, that what are the extracurricular or co-curricular activities that postgraduates can do? Well, to answer to that thing is, I will come to that part. But the networking, which you have asked the question, is a very important part, especially for the postgraduate students. Because the purpose of doing the postgraduate study is to find a better, a more reputable, and of course, a job which is going to support their family or their own livelihood. Now, the networking, which is an important integral part of any postgraduate studies, is important because once you are done with the degree, once you are done with your postgraduate, you need to find a job, right? And that networking is going to hasten that process, is going to expedite that process. That if, for example, during my PhD or anyone's masters, they go to any international conference, they meet a potential supervisor over there who can support them in their postdoc or in their further research field. That's one thing. Second thing is, not all the labs have all the equipments. If you want to, for example, when I was working during my PhD, I wanted to work on EMSA. Now, EMSA is EMSA, is an assay which is used for the separation of the proteins and the RNAs, for the evaluation of the DNA, RNA, and the proteins. Now, UCAM does have it, the facility, but it was so clogged up. There were so many people who were working on that machine, so I was not able to find the time until next 6 months. But then I find a professor from the UPM in a conference, and we talked, we chat, and later. When I understood that his work is quite similar to mine, and he has the EMSA essay being run out in his facility, so I didn't have to worry. I requested that person. We collaborated. My supervisor talked with the supervisor, and we I carried out my work, that particular work in the UPM. So networking is important for giving the diversity to your research. Number one, it is definitely important to understand how other people are using different methods for different applications, most importantly. And last but not least, once you are good at doing the at networking, once you are done with your degree, of course you're going to utilize that degree, right? You're going to utilize that degree and convert the degree into a productible form that will be most probably be a job. So that networking is going to help you secure your job as well. So it's very important. Do not spend all the time in the lab and think that the research is the only thing that you're supposed to do. Go out, meet people, do networking, and that is going to
Mhm.
help you out during the research and after, and securing your job as well.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate, because I have to really understand the mechanism and the reason for the importance for the networking. Because we, let me also add on, because this networking is also very much important for the postgraduate students, because research is not only what we can do in your own lab and then just simply you publish your data whatsoever. Because during that process you also learn so many things apart from your research work as well. So it is
Absolutely.
definitely going to help you during the process of this learning. So
One more thing, sir,
uh,
I want to add, because of course you have gone through the PhD process and the masters as well. There are a lot of problems that you are going to face during the research. A
exactly.
lot of problems, and of course you cannot approach the supervisor every time you're facing a problem,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He or she is very busy, might not be able to actually listen to every problem that you have. So that's where the networking comes in. You talk around, you ask your peers,
yeah.
you talk to the people doing the same procedures or bioassays in the different labs, and that certainly takes away the burden from the shoulders, because they have faced this probably the same problems, and they can give you
Exactly.
the solution. And when you go to your supervisor that I had that problem and now I have a solution for that, I believe that your supervisor is going to be very impressed from you.
Exactly, exactly. So I think we have the different other forums for the postgraduate students to develop the networking as far
Hmm.
as the research areas they are concerned. So
Yes.
viewers, we will finish with the very first session of this one. So let us move with the next session of this very important and beautiful talk.
Hmm.
That is the thesis preparation. So, Dr.
Hmm.
Ali, may I ask you the question regarding the thesis? Can you please guide us or tell our respected viewers and listeners that how a very good thesis should be prepared, or uh, please put a light on the journal Viva question preparations.
Hmm. So there was a joke in my lab which I really want to share, and that is there is yeah there was a joke in my lab where I used to work, and they used to say a joke was there's not a good thesis or a bad thesis, there's only a completed thesis. So when
Yeah,
you complete your thesis, that is the best thesis that you have. But of course, that is the most important question. What makes a thesis important? What makes a thesis good, and what are the things should be? The thesis or your research topic, the problem should address something novel. That is the most important thing, and that is the most important question most probably your examiner is going to start with. right? Of course, the questions which are going to be asked from your thesis is based upon
Mhm.
your research work, but there are few prerequisite questions which they like. If you go to a interview, there are few questions, there are pet questions which they ask, whether they are going to ask. So I have
Okay.
got down few questions over here, and I think the viewers, the ones who have already gone through this process will agree with me, and the ones who are going to go through this process in near future is going to help them out. Number one is the what original contribution of your thesis has to do with the field of study. All right, they're going to ask this
Exactly.
question, that what is
Exactly.
the contribution of your
Mhm.
thesis to your field of your study. So you should know what the contribution that you are going to make with your thesis. Then
Exactly.
second thing is, then explain the main question that from which you are hoping to address with your thesis. So of course there are a lot of objectives that you are going to achieve from your thesis, but there has to be one main question, and you should know this, that whether you are going to improve any practice, whether you are going to make any intervention, whether you are going to introduce a new method, drug discovery, for example, you have discovered something new. So that main question is very, very important. How you are going to address that main question is very important. Then what
Yeah.
are the strength and weaknesses of your, not you, of your thesis?
Of your
Strength
thesis.
and
Yeah.
weaknesses of your thesis. Now, of course, the strength, everybody knows that it is novel, it is this, it helps out solve global burden, economic global burden, decrease progression, everything. But the weaknesses are the places which anybody and everybody should look into as well, because that is the
Mhm.
question, that is the place where the examiner is going to make you what do you say, is going to make tricky questions, that why have
Exactly.
you not addressed that part, why you were not able to put this thing in your research, and that is your weakness, right? That
Weakness.
is the
Exactly.
thing that you should actually tell during your
Mhm.
viva, that these are the things which are the
Mhm.
limiting factors, and we were not able to address these things, and these are the reasons. But in the future, for example, we are going to address these things, and with that, of course, the strength, as the strength is important, like I said, the weaknesses are very important as well, and those weaknesses can be your future direction as well.
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
you can actually, in the end of your thesis, you can the future direction, and like you said one day, gray areas, highlighting
Agree.
the gray areas can be one as well. Then the most important thing is, and this question was asked from me, and I was a little bit confused at that time, because my viva went on for 6 hours. It started from 9 o'clock, it ended at 4 o'clock. So I was like little tired. But this question, when it was asked from me, I got a little bit dazzled. And the question is tricky. If you had a chance to start your thesis one more time from the start, what do you change in that? What would be the changes that you will make in your thesis? So, of course, these are the limitations. These are the weaknesses of your thesis that you are going to address. And of course, the methodology can be improved. The results can be represented in a better way. So you need to know that if they ask you a question, that if the same project is being given to you and asked and being asked you to redo the whole thing, what will be the new things, the new stance that you will take? So I believe
Exactly.
are few journal questions which every examiner's pet question, and everybody should need to prepare for these questions, because if you are prepared for these questions, then there's a high chance that you are in control of your viva,
Yeah.
right? And this is
Right.
the most important thing, that you should be control of your viva, and you can do that by only one thing: you should know in and out of your thesis, everything,
Exactly.
starting from the first page of the title all the way down to the reference page as well. You have to justify your references as well. Okay, if you're
Okay.
only thinking that you have to justify your methodology or your results, No, sir, you are going in the wrong direction. You should know in and out of your thesis, the strength, the weaknesses, why you selected that topic, why this title was specifically being put onto that thesis, and why you choose. There are millions of papers out there. Why the 600 and 700 references that you have put in your thesis, why they were important. All those questions you need to know.
That's correct. That's correct. I also believe, because some of these questions have been also posed to me a few years ago when I appeared for my overseas examination, and I'm surprised that you appeared for 6 hours long and hectic
Always.
Vivavosa session for your while securing your PhD thesis. But I
One by one,
believe
sir.
that.
They were three examiners, one internal, two external. They all went my thesis. I still remember my thesis is 304 pages. So they went one by one, each page. And so be ready for that, viewers, as well. Don't even think that they are going to ask random journal questions. These are just journal questions, which I say that will probably be part of it. But they can go one by one, page by page, and you should be ready for that.
Yeah, exactly. So means one of the postgrad students, of maybe our viewers, they should keep in consideration that all the ins and out and the important key areas for your discussion, as well as research, data collection, should have been known to them, that how did they perform their work. So
Yes.
probably because it's a very tiring situation, and it's very one of the important time which I think the post student cannot forget
Oh.
during his or her life in the future time to
No,
come.
if I ask you, we just change the positions a bit. If I ask you, can you forget that moment when you walked out your room? They asked you to go out in the room, and when you walked in, they asked you, Dr. Shahryar, congratulations. So
Yeah,
don't.
so I still remember, because once we went outside and I was waiting that I don't know what will happen. So it took me, I think, the half an hour since once they call me again inside. And when I sit over there, so they say, can we call you doctor now?
Oh, what a
So
beautiful
my
question that
blunt
is.
response to them, I don't know where this is good. I said, I'm already a doctor because I'm a veterinarian. So I'm doctor of veterinary medicine. I said, I'm already a doctor. So they said, okay, now we can call you as a double doctor. So
Oh,
means
what a
that I have
powerful
got I
words they
secured
are.
my PhD. So I said, thank you very much. So means that I have secured my defense, my thesis defense
But of
so
course,
successfully.
for that moment, for that particularly moment, you work for 5 years, right,
Exactly,
sir? For
exactly,
five
exactly.
years, and for
Yeah,
all those 5 years, you wrote it down as a form of your thesis with the blood, sweat, and tears. And
exactly.
that's exactly what I want from my viewers over here. That
Mm.
whatever you are doing, right? Whatever you are doing, please make notes of that, because that is going to help you out in your reading, in your writing of your thesis
This
later.
is
Because
later.
I still remember my master supervisor said that you have to earn this degree, and you have to
Exactly.
earn the A grades.
And
Specifically, if you are in the postgraduate field.
field.
So this doctor title needs to be earned, and there's no easy way of doing it until unless you put your blood, sweat, and tears in that.
Exactly. It is no easy way, and I believe that who have done the work for this period of time, minimum 4 to 5 years, so ever the time has been spent. So postgrad students cannot forget this period of time, because
Absolutely.
he has really spent a very hectic and effortful type of the time, and with all the blood and the tears, and put all everything in the thesis in the black and white.
Mm.
And I think there are so many instances in the life in the post students while working in the lab, outside the lab. Sometimes it happens while you're driving the car, you're talking with the family members, you suddenly go out of your mind. So it's a psychological pressure. Sometimes it happens. So
Absolutely.
that's why let me also share a joke with you. So why the most people they say, what do you mean by the PhD? PhD stands for what? So there's a joke. Probably they will say it's a permanent head damage. So it's not the philosophy doctor. So, so definitely it's having a very psychological permanent head damage. So I hopefully our viewers should not should just take it on a lighter note. So
Yeah.
Dr. Ali, may I ask you the next question? Give me a very short and a brief answer that what are the major and the important, briefly, the important etiquettes for the Viva Vosa sessions. What kind
Oh,
of the etiquettes a postgrad students or a candidate, postgraduate candidate should obtain and keep in consideration while he appears in front of the panel, because this
mm,
time is very much important for him. So, what are the
okay.
important etiquettes manners,
So the most
socially
important
and the dressing, everything?
the most important thing is, sir, it's not about the not because when you are done with the postgraduate degree, masters or phd, you're going to be a professional person, and you're going to be introduced in the market, or into your field as a masters or a phd professional. So you should, the etiquettes are very much which your examiner is going to be looking at. It's not only the preparation of your thesis, but they are going to look at your attitude as well.
Mm.
And just like when you go to an interview, a job interview, you dress up nicely, you should actually get a blazer for yourself. Okay, I know
Yeah.
Malaysia is a hotter and a humid country, but by wearing a blazer, you can tell your examiner that I have literally prepared for this particular movement. Okay, I have came prepared from here and by with my dressing as well. Then of course the second thing is your body posture should not be like that, like as if you are scared or you are not confident, right? You should be confident about your research because that is your research. They are asking questions from your research, so you should look confident but not intimidating. Not, you should not answer them back, because if they ask a question, you should say, you should start, sir, thank you so much for asking this question. It is a very valid question. This is the question that which has been asked from me at that particular movement, and I can answer this question today because I have this experience. So you should thank the examiner when they are asking you the question. Most importantly, then the tone is very important. The tone is something that you should keep. If you want to emphasize on something, you change your tone. If there is something novel that you have find out, highlight that thing. And most importantly, you should know when your examiner is introducing yourself, there will be if they are professor, they are associate professor, they are doctor, you should remember their title. Never forget their title. Whenever you are communicating with your examiner, always you remember their title. Means, for example, never made a mistake of calling anyone a sir when the person is a professor. They have earned that title with
That
a
title,
with
exactly.
a very long journey. So number one, be prepared. Go through your thesis 2 to 3 times. Number two, this comes in as a good etiquette, because that is going to tell your examiner that you have came prepared, right? And if you do not look prepared, that is, I mean, that's a disaster. Second thing, you should look good. You should wear a blazer.
External appearance, yeah.
Yes, appearance matters a lot. Even before you speak, and you must have heard this thing. And in offline, we have this conversation as well, Dr. Shariar, that the words only make 9 to 11% of the whole conversation. The rest of the job goes with the body language, the intonation, and all the emphasis comes from the hand gestures as well. Do use the hand gestures, but don't use them a lot, because that is going to distract your examiner, and that is not something which is very appreciated,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
That's nice.
keep your tone low. You should know your research, dress up well, know the title. Do not forget the title of your examiner. Whenever you're addressing with your examiner, if the person is a professor, say professor. If the person is a doctor, please use the title appropriately.
That's nice. Exactly. So thank you. I think starting with the external appearance and the most important thing. Let me put everything there in a nutshell. So it means external appearance, the confidence of the potential students,
Mm.
and the communicating behavior.
Oh
So
yeah.
let me add the one more thing over here.
Mm.
That the title has been earned. The title has been, just like you said, the title has been earned. A professor need to be called the
Mm.
prof, or the most respective abbreviation we use while calling this a prof. Because I still remember when I put my master thesis in front of my supervisor. So with putting his name over there, so he asked me, when you are going to write down the name of someone, so you are expected to write down the full name.
Mm.
So I was very much surprised. I was continually looking at the name of this one. I said, I put on his name, full name, doctor, this one, this one, this one. They say, I'm a professor. You didn't put the name of the prof over there.
Mm.
So then I believe I understand, truly understand the significance that the and need of the title should present over there. So if he's a professor, need to put the professor. He's a doctor, need to put the doctor over there. So I think because some of the people they really take it because it's only the title has been earned, just like your son has
Mm.
been earned, and it is an achievement in the
Excellent.
career of an academician or a professional.
Mm.
People.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So let's move to the last but not the least question. Dr. Ali, can you please explain about us the for the postgrad students, very important question as far as I'm concerned.
Sir.
There will be two aspects, or we can say the part A and the part B. The data collection
Mm.
and the reliability of the data for the postgrad student, because the students they are working on the research and how the data they will be collected and collection of the data and important tips over there and their reliability. And the first part. The second part of this question, the significance of the publication of the data, because it's my perception or it's truly been said that the data collected, published, it's okay. It's not published means the data has been perished. So
Mm.
can you please explain to our viewers and important listeners that how and postgrad students should follow these criteria for the data collection, its reliability, and
Mm.
for the publication of the data.
So the most important thing when it comes to the data collection is, of course, your method that you are going to adopt, right? Now, if, for example, I'm a lab-based scientist, for me, the most important thing is the accuracy and reproducibility. If there is accurate, it should be reproducible as well. If it is not reproducible, then anybody can say that it is fictitious,
Yeah,
right? Then when you have collected the data and when you have it, the most important thing is to do the statistical analysis, because that is going to tell whether the p the most important p of our life is going to tell whether the data is significant or not. Then another way of making your data reliable, and in your thesis, of course, make your thesis more when you are appearing in the exam, the final viva, to make you more confident, and to say with the very utter confidence you can say that data is reliable. You can only say this if you have published your data, right?
that's fine.
If
That's
you
fine.
have
Yeah.
published your data, it means it has gone through the peer review. Some other expert in another part of the world who doesn't know you have gone through that data. And if you are able to publish your work in a high impact journal, which starts from 3 or 4 impact, then of course the examiner is going to take that impact seriously as well,
That's
right?
right. That's correct. That's correct.
Means when I did my PhD, I already published my 3 papers, and that was the thing which was highlighted up when I was done during the viva. One of my 2 examiners actually asked that what is the reliability that you of your data. So I said that this work is being published in Inflammopharmacology Q1 4.9, and he looked at
Yeah.
me like that and he was like, okay, no need to say anything more to make emphasize on that this data is reliable and authentic, because once it has been peer reviewed, that gives you the confidence that the data is reliable, number one.
Exactly.
It is publishable, and you need to publish that work before your viva, and if not the whole, a part of it. And the reason is very simple. You are doing this postgraduate study not for your own sake. You have to do some contribution to the world and to the field of science. And
That's right.
if
That's
you
correct.
are gaining all that knowledge and keeping it to yourself, that is not going to give benefit to you or to the society. So you need to publish your work. And by that, you are actually you're sharing your knowledge with all the people around the world. Just by one click, people can know that what Dr. Shariara has done in his PhD and what contribution and new noble things that he has find out during his research, and what contribution your research has actually done
Yes.
in for the betterment of the society or the communal well-being. So
That's right.
my most important suggestion is that please publish your work, if not the whole, part of it before you go to your viva. That is going to give you the confidence. Number one, the examiner is not going to look down on you, is not going to be intimidating at all, because by
Correct.
publishing your work you have already made something very, very prominent, that it has been peer reviewed and it has been already been put on a reputable journal. That makes your research definitely important and significant and accurate as well.
That's correct. I truly understand, and I truly believe that you have highlighted the significance of the data publication and its reliability. And
Hmm.
it's true that if the postgraduate students have done the work, so why the work should be wasted?
Yes.
So let me add on. So if the work has been done, if you have spent almost a couple of years or 3 years or 5 years in doing the work, so it should be known by the public. It should be known. It should be mentioned to the world globe, right? Because
Yes.
the work you have done, you have spent the time under the supervision of your esteemed supervisor. So it should be published whatsoever you have done, either good or bad whatsoever. So that's very much important. So I thank you very much with all this very important and very significant discussion, as well as the two important topics of for the today's online session
Hmm.
regarding the selection of the supervisor and the topic, and the thesis preparation and the viva voce sessions with the data reliability. So with all this one, my questions has gone. There are so many things we can ask, but owing to the shortage of the time, I also want to give some time to my respected viewers and listeners. So this forum is open, my respected viewers. This forum is open for your questions. I may welcome any kind of the questions. Okay, we have the Dr. Muhammad Rizwan. Dr. Ali, what is the most appropriate time to do the PhD? Yes, Dr. Ali.
So I move this question towards you. You tell me, is there any appropriate time for doing PhD?
If okay, let me explain to you, Muhammad Rizwan, and just only because it's just only a dialogue session. I came to know from one of my very senior professor, since we are in the time of the where the if we go back to the couple of decades ago, where the PhD was not so much common. And my professor, my master's PhD, my master's supervisor told me uh, in 2004, he told me that a time will come when PhD, I mentioned to him that a time will come, maybe the PhD is going to be a basic degree. So he replied to me immediately. He said that time is already there. So PhD is going to be a basic degree. But for whom? Who are in the line of the academics? One thing. Second thing, for the academic peoples, if you have chosen this field of the academic and the research as a professional, as a very noble profession, for to earn your livelihood. So if you do the PhD before the age of the 30 years, or even before you go for the marriage, okay, so I think is the best time because the before the age of the 30 years, so it means as per the sayings of the seniors, that means that you are going to rule for the next 30 years in this profession with
Mhm.
your peers.
I agree. I agree with you.
Yes.
I totally agree The earlier is better, but of course there is no time duration that we both of us can say that this is the best time of doing the PhD, because it's a professional degree. You have to look at, most of the people do the PhD when they are married. Sometimes they have children, so they have
Yeah.
to look at the finances. They have
Yeah.
to look at, and the most important thing is, until and unless you do not find an appropriate supervisor, do not hasten this process. Find the
Exactly.
supervisor first. And for
Yeah.
that,
Exactly.
go to the university website, look into their profiles, look into their publication, take your time. Do not hasten this process if you think you have not find your supervisor and you are not ready for it. Because like I said, uh, in an earlier discussion, it is going to be a very long, tiring journey. And if
Exactly.
your heart and your soul is not into this process, you are going to find yourself in the middle of nowhere asking this question, that why I'm doing this,
Yeah,
right?
you can roll back during that time. Yeah, you can roll
Yes.
back. So secondly, I think let me also add in. So I would just like I mentioned that the student should not go for the before complete before this marriage, because try to spend more time with the after your marriage with your family members, because the poor students who go on late or with or who have been already married, they cannot spend the much time
Mhm.
and amicably with the family members. They cannot give the proper time to the families because they have so many other liabilities in their personal domestic lives. And secondly, it is also going to affect the work in their labs. And
Yes.
if not, if they are going to give the priority to the work lab, so it means they are neglecting their families. So
Yes,
both
sir.
these works, both these things, they should not be neglected. Either you are compromising your own work, or you are going to neglect your families. So I think it's the most important thing that you should go before the time of 30 years.
Correct.
So yeah. So viewers, if you have got any other questions, the forum is there. I myself is enjoying a very important and discussion with Dr. Ali, and Muslim is getting very much experience from his very valuable sessions and important talks with his own personal experiences, and he's also going to scratch my experiences as well.
Correct, sir.
So viewers, do you have any other question, please? I hope you have been enjoying with the with this online session for the academic research and thesis preparations. I think okay. So I think we don't have any other question from our respective viewers. So with this one, thank you very much, Dr. Ali. Once again, very much thank you to you for your valuable sessions and giving a very precise and explaining the importance, significance of the research and selection criteria. All the in and outs probably I think have been discussed over here in this session. So even apart from that one, I think I can tell to mention to my viewers that Dr. Ali, he is readily available, readily approachable, readily accessible in the faculty pharmacy anytime, so you can contact him. So with all this one, let us finish with this very charming, very important, and very enthusiastic type of the and very sizzling type of the discussion on that
Thank
search.
you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. Thank you very much, viewers. See you next time. Take care.